Well, hopefully you were able to give that a try. Let's go over the solution. All right, so the first thing we need to do is we need to create a function that will add items. Write a function that will read the text user types into the input box, use the template tag to create a copy of the item, fill in the item's text, add a click event listener to the remove button, and append the finished item to the shopping list container, and probably call it create item. We also want to create a function called remove shopping list items that removes an element when we click it. And we want to connect our function to our add button. So let's go ahead, and this last one seems like the easiest one, so I'm going to do that one first. I'm going to make my create item function. I'm going to leave it empty, and then I'm going to connect it using the add button. So if we come over here and come to script.js, I'm going to put name, description, shopping list handler. Okay. So the very first thing, I'm going to come over here. I can see that this add button is inside of a div with the ID of shopping form. So if I want to add an event listener to this, then I need to be able to find that button. And so it's a button inside of a div that has an ID of shopping form. So what we're going to do here is let's write our function first. So we'll call it function create item, and we'll leave it empty for now. And then I'm going to say document.querySelector, and I'm going to look for shopping form. And directly inside of the shopping form element, I want to find the button. Once I've done that, I can add event listener. And the event we're listening for is a click. And when they click it, we want to create an item. Great. So that handles that. Um, well, let's create our item. When we create the item, we know that there is some placeholder text here, or sorry, there's some text here that we need to use, and it looks like we've been provided a template. In the template, there's a span where we're going to want to put the text and a button for removing the text. So let's go ahead and take advantage of this template, and let's grab the input tag and get the value from that. So the first thing we want to do is document.querySelector. If we were in a bigger page, we could maybe be a little more specific. Actually, let's be specific. So we know that our input is inside of shopping form, and we'll grab the input and we'll grab its value. And we'll say let item name equal the value that we just grabbed. So now that we've got the value, now we need to create a new element using that template. So if we want to use that template, we first have to grab that template. So we'll say let template equal document dot query selector and look for the template tag. Then we need to import it so that we can actually use the HTML inside of the template tag. So we'll say let my new item equal document dot import node. We want to import the template's content, and we want all of the content, not just the first layer. So we're going to put true. Now we need to set the text. So we'll say my new item dot query selector, and in here we are going to look for dot item text, I believe. Let's look. Um, item text is the class, so we're going to use that, and then the button is remove button. So we'll look for the item text, and we'll set its inner text equal to the item name that we just got back. The other thing we want to do is we want this function to be able to remove itself, or we want this item to be able to be removed if we click the remove button. And if we want to do that, then we need to have a function for it. So I'm going to say function remove shopping list item, and we need to attach it. So I'm going to access my item. I'm going to query select for the remove button. And then I'm going to add an event listener. When they click it, I want to call remove shopping list item. So far, I will have set that to be something and set that to be something, and they're all inside of a list item. This is all fine and dandy, but I haven't actually added them to the page yet. So let's add them to the page. We'll say document.query selector. And if we look on the page, our UL has an ID of shopping list. So we'll say shopping list dot append child. And the child we want to append is my new item. So we've already added create item to our button. Let's go make sure that this is working. So we'll come to our shopping list and we'll say apples and ta-da, apples showed up. When we click the remove, nothing happens, but that's expected. We haven't written anything in the remove function yet. But let's add pears and then the I'm not going to try and spell bananas off the top of my head on live camera. I will do that later. Okay, so if I click this remove for pears, I want to remove pears. How do I know which one of these I'm clicking? Well, I could probably use the event handler object to figure it out. So let's accept the event as E. And here, I'm just going to console.log E. So let's add apples, add. Let's inspect the page. And we'll click remove. We get our pointer event. We get that the target is the button. Well, we wanted the target. The thing we want to delete is actually the whole item. And while there are easier ways to do this, I realized that in previous videos, I did not teach them. So we're going to do this a little more difficult way, the way that I did teach in the previous videos. We remember that if we click an item and a surrounding parent item has an event handler that listens to the exact same thing, it bubbles up. So it first handles this event, and then it handles this event. And we can take advantage of this in our code. So let's come over here. So if they click it, the first thing we want to do is we want to add another event listener onto our item. And where do we want to target? We're actually going to target this list item. So we're going to do query selector for the list item, add event listener, click, remove the shopping list item. So it's going to call, both of these are going to call the same function. In our function, we're going to see if e.target.get attribute class is remove button. Sorry, I was thinking of set attribute. And I got a little bit distracted and started typing and then realized I was doing something very wrong. So what we're saying is, what we want to say is if e.target.get attribute class is remove button and the current target attribute class is not equal to remove button, then we want to say e.currentTarget.remove, and that will remove it. So what are we doing here? What we're doing is we're saying find the thing that was clicked, get its attribute, get its class attribute. If it's remove button, then they must have clicked the remove button. And so therefore we do actually want to do something, probably. Now remember, there are two event handlers here. The one that is on the button and the one that is on the list item. So two event handlers are going to call this function. And we are saying if the current event handler is on the list item, then we want to remove the list item. If it's not on the list item, meaning it's on the remove button, then we don't want to remove the button because we want to remove the entire list item. So we'll then remove the entire list item. So we'll save this. We'll come over here and we'll say bananas, bananas, and apples and pears. And then if we remove apples, it vanishes. So that's all great, but we would like to clear this input when we create a new item. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say document.querySelector, and I'm going to copy this query selector from up here, and I'm going to set its value equal to nothing. So if we save that, when we come over, we can say apples, and it adds them, and we can remove them. And we are done. Thanks for watching.